Good evening, Enyo. How you doing?
Very good, nurses. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you very much for taking the
Good.
time to hop on this webinar for us.
Pleasure.
Just want to quickly introduce you to our audience. Today, we have the pleasure of having Enyo Ferry from Condominium Inspections to share with us his thoughts and experience when it comes to purchasing pre-construction and going through your inspection. He's been in the industry for almost 20 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even longer. I know that I myself have been working with him for about 12, 13 years. Um, he he's served me well every single time. He's broken some deals for me, but that's usually good because if the property has something wrong with it, Enyo will be the first to tell you. Whether if you like it or not, he'll tell you how it is. But you get to keep the client, keep the relationship, but not the property, which is okay. That way we make sure that the client knows what they're buying every single time. So Enyo, I'm going to hand it off to you. Please tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get into some of the questions that we have today. It'll be short and sweet.
Sure. Okay. Well, thanks for inviting me over to this webinar with you, nurses, and your company. And yes, you're right. We've been dealing with each other for at least 13 years, if not more. And yeah, a few deals perhaps went sideways, but for all good reasons. At least we protected the client, and that's the most important thing, obviously, right? Myself, well, I've been doing inspections since 2002. So that's 18
Just about
years.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've done renovations and done some flips myself and so on. And actually, right now we're in the midst of opening a sister company, which is KHI Building Consultants, which is doing project managing for various renovations, larger type of renovations, additions, and top
Okay.
ups and things of that nature. Right?
Right.
We can't compete with smaller renos for a kitchen or a bathroom. But anyway, that's nevertheless. But if anybody wanted information about that, I'm sure they can
Right.
find out information from us about that. So, but yes, it's great to be with us. I hope everybody's safe and being well. And yeah,
And
I'm ready to answer any
home.
questions. Yes, for sure. Everybody's at home. Obviously, we're all at home. So,
Good times. Good times. All right.
yes.
Well, Enyo, today the focus is really on new construction, new real estate. A lot of our clients have been buying pre-construction real estate. Eventually, that becomes a tangible product where you can touch it, feel it, walk through it. What we want to cover is the warranties that clients are eligible to when it comes to purchasing a new construction property, real estate, whether if it's a condominium unit or a townhouse or a detached house. And we want to talk about their pre-delivery inspection, namely PDI, that's what it's called. My first question to you today would be, are there actually any warranties for buyers of pre-construction or new construction properties?
Yes, there is. The short answer is yes, there is. Obviously, Terion has a warranty which everybody signs on to and pays for at the time of purchase. And that's either in a condominium situation or a brand new home. Terion actually has a builder's guideline. It's basically called a Terion Performance Guideline booklet. You can get it online. Okay, it is available to everyone out there, but it's pretty tedious and there's a lot of information there. It contains 300 odd pages of information that relates. So it's a guideline that Terion uses in order to find deficiencies, and those deficiencies are either mostly related to performance and workmanship relations. For those deficiencies, building code is another thing, even though Terion does look after that as well. But the basic concept of Terion is to look at a lot of deficiencies. So when it comes to doing your inspections for a PDI, obviously a lot of it is cosmetic issues. Okay, so the floors aren't the floors are scratched, or there's nail pops, or there's widening of gaps. But there is guidelines that the builders use to follow in order to know if it's a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So typically builders, when you're buying a home and you're doing a pre-purchase inspection or a PDI inspection, they run you through it. They go fairly quickly. Okay. You know, open the windows, check this, check that, and that's about it. So it's very important to have a PDI inspection, especially with homes. Condominiums are a little less problematic, in all honesty. There's a lot less chances of finding defects. However, the defects are, you still can find them, and they are still there and available, but they're not on a larger scale because obviously just the size of the unit versus a home. Okay.
Gotcha.
But it is wise to have that PDI. So, you know, having an inspection come in or having an inspector come in and do that PDI is good. Okay. You know, we're sure we're always there looking for business like everyone else is and so on. But in all honesty, we as Key Home Inspections goes, we try to tell people, look, when you're doing your PDI, really, really concentrate on the cosmetic issues, like really nitpick, because it's all under the guideline.
Right.
Also, we have to also understand when it comes to a warranty, warranties are available in different stages. So you have your PDI, which is the day prior to purchasing your inspection.
Pre-delivery, yeah.
Pre-delivery, purchasing your home or unit. And you have a 30-day inspection, okay? And then you have a 1-year inspection, which is related to defects. You have the 2-year, which is usually related to plumbing, electrical, and mechanical systems, okay? Your heating, air conditioning. And then that's the end of your warranties, but then you have 5 more years as a structural component.
7 years from day one.
Basically, right. 7 years from day one, correct. Okay. Obviously, the first year is the most important time to inspect. So if the people say, you know, because in a lot of situations, nurses, builders do not like having third-party inspectors coming in on PDIs. They frown upon it. Okay? But you can do that. And sometimes we've been in situations where people will actually sign off. They'll say, we will be their representative. We actually go in and represent the client and do the inspection and sign for them on their behalf. It's not often, but it has happened. So moving forward, to try to go on to your other questions of moving forward, doing a PDI is important. In all honesty, I believe the 30-day inspection or at minimum the 1-year inspection is very crucial. The reason why I say that is because there's a lot of things that sometimes you cannot pick up on a PDI because the items are not being used.
Yeah.
If your items are not being used, you cannot pick things up sometimes, right? We do our best to find all the things on the PDI, but we basically try to promote ourselves to say, listen, do the 30-day, and if you don't want to do the day, guaranteed, do yourself a favor and do the 1 year for sure.
100%. Because I've had clients, for example, who've picked up units at the pre-delivery inspection. Some think differently than others. Some people see the value in having an inspector for the PDI of a condo unit, and some others won't. I myself, I definitely see the value in having an inspector because the least you're getting is an extra set of eyes. Whether if that person is an inspector or not, you're getting an extra set of eyes. If you're walking through a 1,000 square foot condo with one person versus with two, you're going to catch a lot more deficiencies, whether if it's a nick on the wall or it's a little crack on the countertop and what have you. But I've had clients where after their first pre-delivery inspection, when they moved in on day 30, 60, 120, they're like, my HVAC unit is making weird noises. My floors are creaking or moving or shifting. So things like that, I guess you want to keep an eye on and make sure that things do function properly and make sure you either hit the 30-day mark or the 1 year mark, because after the 1 year mark, I don't think there's much cosmetic that you can rest.
No, there isn't. There all of your deficiencies are gone.
Yeah.
The 1 year term, you're finished. So if you're looking at a condominium unit, you know, your shower stalls, if there's issues in behind your tiles with moisture problems and things like that, you don't detect it after the first year, you're gone. Yeah. So, you know, for the freedom to be less involved with the builder and to be not in the builder's face all the time when it comes to doing inspections, I just really stress, listen guys, like really go out there, bring a roll of painter's tape with you, mark all the defects, don't be afraid, you know, don't be embarrassed. I mean, you're paying good money for what you're buying.
Yeah.
why not go ahead and mark all the things? The least they're going to do is say to you no. And if you do put your things on there and your defects, and if you need help with those items, you know, we can certainly help you with them. Otherwise, go on the Terion website and download the performance guideline and study it. Maybe not into the crucial things, but at least you know that it's available to you and you know what's there to look at when it comes to that. We don't expect you to find things that we were going to find because we're obviously trained for that stuff and they're not. But anyway, having that is probably the best thing to do.
That's definitely a really good read if you can't fall asleep for an extended period of time.
You know, sometimes it's even good. You just download it and maybe look at it, review it, maybe the first day or two before you go in. That's all.
So it stays fresh. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe we covered my second question, which was what sort of things would you be looking for in a PDI inspection? But if you want to kind of itemize that, let's say you walk into a 600 square foot condo, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. What are you really looking at as the consumer?
Really, when it comes to condominium units, we're going to check the HVAC system, make sure that it's working properly. We turn it on. We do our normal tests to make sure it is working properly. We make sure all the vents are working properly. We check all the valves in your washrooms, your shower stalls. We make sure things are turning on and off. You know, condominium units are not a big ticket item when it comes to inspections with PDIs, you know, because they are smaller units and they're, you know, self-contained and stuff like that. So we don't get a lot of
a townhouse or a house, a new build.
Well, townhouses and semi-detached houses, completely different realm of work. There's many different items that you can find in those properties. Again, the PDI is the PDI, but for anybody not doing an inspection within the first year, I have no idea why they would even consider that. You know, for a cost of $500, what is found and what can be found is so much valuable. We have done many inspections on a house that's 2 or 3 years old and found all kinds of issues that are not the defect of the client. You know, he bought the house 2 years ago and all of a sudden we've got these problems, but there are problems which you could have, and now you're back at the negotiating table. You know yourself that happens. And now you're sitting and negotiating, and the vendor is sitting there looking at the people saying, but he didn't build a house, but you've got a problem. Now you're back at the table renegotiating it, and it's all for naught because he's going to discount his money that he's losing, and it's not even his fault because he wanted to save $500.
That could have been addressed if they had done an inspection year one.
You know, and for when it comes to the condominium units, the 1 year for sure. I've done condominium units that are 6-7 months old, and I've found behind the bathtubs that there's we found moisture in a couple of units. And when they actually did a further evaluation, they actually pulled the tile off. They didn't actually have the proper drywall behind the tiles. So they actually had to rip out the tiles and redo the bathrooms and so on and so forth. So it got pretty expensive, right? Yeah. But as far as houses and things, so many. Building code infractions, improper installation of shingles and grading issues and bathroom problems. The list goes on. We'd have to be here for a couple hours to try to go through it all. But there's
full-fledged inspection.
Yeah, again, the PDI, yeah, sure, we'll do it. We'll do the best we can with it. But I always tell people at least a 30-day because showers are being used, items are being used that we can detect problems. You can't detect them because if it's something brand new, like a shower stall, how am I going to know if there's any moisture issues behind tiles? It's never been used.
Got it. It hasn't been tested.
Yes, there's a massive difference.
Okay, I really appreciate that. So for those that do find remedies, what is the next step? Like, do find defects. What are the remedies? Like, what do they do next?
Well, there's a process, and the basic process is that you do your inspection, you get your report. Now, your people that are going to be viewing this should know that Terions do not accept any third-party reports.
Yeah, it'll have to be the report done on their forums.
Correct.
By their rep.
well, they're forms.
And the builder's rep, yeah.
The client must submit the deficiency list on a Tarion form. You can include our report as a backup to that, but they will not use that. They will keep it in file and reference it to, but they will not use it. Okay, so having said that, the normal process is step one. You do the inspection, you create the list, you submit that list to the builder as well as a copy to Tarion. All the items are left open until they actually have remedied and until the actual client, the owner of the home or unit, has actually signed off.
Got it.
If that item never gets signed off by the client because the client is not happy or the homeowner is not happy, that leaves it as unfixed. Okay, it's unclear, it hasn't been remedied. So if there's an item, the specific item that, let's say, is a defect and the builder refuses to fix that item,
yeah,
the next step is that they will have a consultation with Tarion. Tarion will come to the house, okay, and the builder will come to the house. The homeowner will come to the house as well, and if the homeowner chooses, we can attend that consultation meeting at the same time to explain our deficiencies to Tarion and so on.
Got it.
At the end of the day, after Tarion has done their analysis and their inspection of that problem or of that unit or house, whichever the case may be, they are the decision makers. If Tarion makes a decision and says that that item is not warrantable, then the builder and Tarion are done, and the homeowner is left with that defect, or they may feel is a defect, but under Tarion's eyes or under the building code's eyes may not be a defect.
So essentially, Tarion is the police for builders, and at the same time, they're the judge that really decide what happens and they enforce it.
Correct. If you feel that that item is unfair and you feel that Tarion is unfair and the builder is unfair, then you can have a mediation. That mediation or that remediation can go to a further tribunal, and from there they will have a further evaluation of that item, and that's with a board meeting of Tarion and lawyers and so on and so forth. And it just escalates and escalates from there.
Got it. Essentially, you want to take care of everything as soon as you can and not have to go to step 2, step 3, step 4.
Yeah, I think sometimes, when you have an experienced person, inspector that's there with you, and not just writing things down just to write things down to make it seem like you're, oh, I'm doing, I'll write it down for you. But you know what? Let's face it, because if you know what's on that on the list of Tarion, performance guidelines, the Tarion performance guidelines list. If you know what's on there and you're a seasoned inspector going in there, you can calmly tell your client, listen, this is not going to pass. It's not going to comply. If it's going to comply, sure, of course they're going to write it down on the list. Of course we're going to fight for you and so on. And that's what all inspectors should do. Yeah. But writing something down just for the fact of writing it down doesn't mean it's going to get fixed. So you're only going to be upset. You're going to make a big, huge list, and the builders are just going to laugh at you, So, because they know what those lists are. So,
and they know what they're required to fix based on the guidelines.
Exactly. So the client is definitely best off if they feel that there's an issue. Let's face it. If you go into a PDI, you're buying a new condo, for example. I know you're selling quite a bit of condos. So if you go into a condo and you don't do the PDI, okay, fine. You go 30 days, okay, fine. You don't see anything. You know what? We don't charge obviously $500 for a condo because it's a lot smaller, a lot less things to do. But for $300-400 type of thing to do an inspection, peace of mind, you do it one time. Maybe we find something that's you didn't even know is there, and and if you did, great. You've resolved the issue and you move on. And if you didn't, well, it's peace of mind for a little amount of money, and you're done.
I even think that a lot of our clients that have worked with you, their feedback is that they see huge value in having somebody like you with the experience that you have, not just in inspections, but in renovations, building additions and everything, right? So if you're in a unit with someone where, let's say it's a family sized unit, 12, 13, 1400 square foot unit, where they want to do some improvements, additions, they want to change this, change that. I know right off the bat, on the fly, you can literally tell them, okay, this will cost you roughly $1,500. I have 3 different guys for this, 6 different guys for that. Here's a whole bunch of names. So that's worth something, because every single person that you're giving them, they've literally had Enyo, manage them, and they've passed your filter. And if they've passed your filter, they'll pass my filter any day.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and that's true. I know, because when we do go into doing the inspections in houses or condos or whatever, I've done it so many times now, so at least I can tell the client and basically say, you're in that ballpark, you're in this range. They can understand that, because going blind into a contractor's eyes is sometimes pretty scary, because they tell you one thing and it ends up being another thing, and they got you where they want you, and you're in trouble. So for sure.
Last question, Anil. Given the times that we're in right now, how are you conducting business? I know we're deemed essential, but it's definitely not business as usual in terms of the precautions we're taking and whatnot. For example, our office is completely closed. As you know, everybody's still working, but from home.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with it? How are you managing going into people's houses while trying to stay as safe as possible?
Well, what we do is basically we're contacting the other side.
Okay.
We're reaching out to them just to find out who lives in the house, what's been going on in the house, and so on. We ask that no one is in the home, especially the...
Clarify, this is in case of a resale transaction. You're buying a house that's already...
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So we're going to check with the other side just to get the opinion from the other agent. We're going to let them know that we do what we do inside the house. We're going to wear our mask. We're going to wear our gloves. We disinfect our tools. We wipe them down after using them for the day and so on. When we go in, we try to ask everybody, that was not the right word, but we try to ask everyone to at least, give us space, let us do our inspection.
If they can take the house while you're there, that would be ideal, no?
Ideally, in these situations, I don't mind it, as long as people take their precautions as well.
Got it.
If they're wearing their mask, they're wearing their gloves, and they're, in amongst another room, and I'm doing something else. Everybody's doing their own social. It's a little difficult in the house and stuff like that. But many times we've actually asked people not to come to the inspection. Don't come to the inspection. Come at the end. We'll consultate at that time. And in some situations, I've actually used Skype. Or I've used Zoom or FaceTime, and actually went through the inspection with the client basically on my phone, showing him everything I want to see. So there's many different medias nowadays that can obviously work, and it's been working fine.
Perfect. Well, as long as everybody's healthy, and as we know, there's still people that need to buy, need to sell, need to transact. Because of whatever situation they may be in. They may have sold their house and now they need a house to live in, vice versa. So we'll keep doing what we're doing while putting safety first. I really do appreciate you coming on and giving us a piece of your wisdom today and a piece of your experience. And I look forward to continuing working with you.
I appreciate it, and so do I. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy. This thing will be over. Don't know when. As long as we're all safe, we'll work it the best we can, right? So, yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. And you take care. Have a great day.
Have a good night.